What's up YouTube? Marriage coach Brad Browning here with a video on the top 11 signs that your marriage is failing. Now, obviously, this isn't a totally exhaustive list of signs that your marriage is going under. And on the other side of the coin, if your marriage is exhibiting just a few signs from this list, it definitely doesn't mean that you should be, signing the divorce papers either. Marriage, of course, is always an ever-changing bumpy road, and you are going to inevitably experience ups and downs. But with that said, if you are seeing the following signs in your marriage, then at minimum, something in your relationship is likely worthy of your attention. So hopefully the following list serves as the impetus for further reflection. All right, let's dive right into it with sign number 1. You feel isolated and lonely in your marriage. Now, studies have shown the feelings of loneliness and isolation are some of the biggest factors that can lead to divorce. And while it is important to have your own hobbies, friends, and life outside of your marriage, it can be destructive when you're not paying enough attention to your spouse. So if you aren't openly communicating with your husband or wife, or even acknowledging their existence, it's a sure sign that your marriage is on the wrong path. Now, in order to address this, make it a point to reach out to your spouse every single day, even if it's a boring question about how their day went. And occasionally, try to have deeper conversations about how they're feeling and see how you can improve any facet of your relationship. In other words, just be their companion. And I can promise you that over time, that feeling of isolation and loneliness is going to subside. Sign number 2, your sexual relationship with your spouse is non-existent. Now, of course, it's natural for sexual chemistry to dwindle in a marriage, especially if you've been married for many years. But if you're not having sex at all, or not nearly enough, then this is a massive sign that your marriage is failing. And this sign is a lot more common than you might think. According to one survey, almost 12% of marriages are nearly or entirely sexless. So if you aren't having sex with your husband or wife, then honestly ask yourself why. Sure, life gets hectic. Maybe you both worked a lot or the kids are always getting in the way, but you should always try to allocate some time for romance and intimacy with your spouse. If the desire to have sex is completely gone, then obviously there might be deeper issues at play which you will want to address as well. Sign number 3, finances are stressing you out. Now, financial stress can cause a lot of marital problems if you let it. If your bank account is in dire straits, it can be difficult to find the time and energy to actually be intimate and romantic with your partner. And according to several studies, lower income families are harder hit by stressful life events and are more often mired by mental health issues than higher income couples. So being stressed about anything has also proven to lower your IQ by up to 1 standard deviation. And thus, if you're going to be far more likely to make irrational decisions that could further harm your marriage. When money is a big issue, it can be difficult to address, of course. But it's important to have open communication with your partner and work together as a team. And that means setting a budget that you can both agree on and finding ways to live within your means. And although life can get you down, navigating through these issues with your life partner can bring you to even closer than before. Sign number 4, you fight way too much. Now, of course, this one's a bit of a no-brainer, but some couples don't know when to put their gloves down. In any marriage, it's healthy to have some bickering here and there. It shows that you care and that you're willing to fight to improve your overall situation. But when the fighting is non-stop, you can honestly kiss your marriage goodbye. Now, there is no one single solution for fixing a marriage that's mired with arguments. It really all depends on the context. But if you're looking for some customized help in fixing your marriage, head over to marriageguy.com/coaching to see how you can get email coaching from yours truly. Again, marriageguy.com/coaching. You can hit that page up and get all the details and sign up after this video is over. Sign number 5 that your marriage is failing, you don't fight enough. So like I just mentioned in sign number 4, it's healthy for a marriage to have some level of bickering. But when there's absolutely no arguments at all, apathy might be setting in. When couples don't fight at all, it might mean that they simply just don't care about the relationship anymore, or that they've sort of just given up, if you will. And this lack of being, willing to engage or wanting to engage is the complete antithesis of love. So in order to address this, you're going to have to uncover some deeply seated problems in your marriage and address them right away. Apathy is a massive sign that your marriage is going to fail, so the sooner you get on this one, the better. Sign number 6, you don't even want to hang out with your spouse anymore. So if you find yourself wanting to hang out with your friends rather than spend time with your spouse, this could be a sign that your marriage is failing. Now, of course, we all need a moment away from our spouses from time to time, but if you frequently enjoy spending time apart from your spouse more than you enjoy spending time with them, that's a giant red flag. Now, if you're finding that this is the case for yourself, try something new and experimental with your spouse. The novelty of a new experience will allow both of you to engage with each other again, and hopefully kind of renew that spark that's been lost. Try and find activities that you both enjoy, and I can promise that your marriage is going to improve very quickly. Sign number 7, you find yourself always nitpicking at your marriage. So if you feel like you're always let down or disappointed by your spouse, then it could mean that your marriage isn't doing so well. Of course, if your spouse isn't putting in the effort to do simple things, then that's, a separate issue entirely. But if you're always feeling like your partner is falling short, then you should be addressing that issue as quickly as possible. Now, one of the biggest problems in marriage is unrealistic expectations. We are constantly bombarded with TV shows, movies, and books that, depict marriages that are full of life, amazing sex, unicorns, and rainbows. But in reality, finding somebody that meets your every desire is almost impossible. Sometimes you just have to lower your expectations to a certain degree to make a marriage work. Now, I know this isn't the advice that you probably want to hear, but this increased expectation that we have in society is one of the primary drivers of increased divorce rates. Sign number 8 is you find yourself flirting with others a little too much. Now, there isn't anything wrong with a little bit of teasing between friends, but for many, flirting does cross the line. And of course, we all want to feel attractive to other people. And admittedly, it is great when you know you're being checked out by a member of the opposite sex. But, relishing too deeply in this sensation is a sign that you aren't getting your needs met at home. So if you notice that you're wanting to meet new people of the opposite sex, or if you're just flirting way too much, then this does need to be addressed as soon as possible. The video guide that I have up on my website goes over a lot of this stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about how you can improve your marriage to the point where you don't ever want to flirt with anybody else, head over to marriageguy.com and watch that full video right now for free. Sign number 9, you both refuse to seek help. So if your marriage has been on the rocks for a long time, chances are you've sought help at some point. But if after, a few futile attempts, you both give up, then this is one of the surest signs that your marriage is doomed. Marriages are obviously not easy, but they aren't designed to be, and they definitely won't improve if neither party is willing to put in the effort. So to address this, seek help yourself, even if your spouse doesn't want to. There are things that you can do today by yourself that will improve your marriage by leaps and bounds. If you're interested in learning more, then I again encourage you to head over to marriageguy.com and check out my full video guide. And sign number 10, you brag about your relationship too much on social media. Now, couples that have it all really have nothing to prove. They don't constantly brag about each other to other people. Not only is that, annoying for people around you, but it also might be a sign that you're trying to overcompensate for something that's lacking. One study showed that the more one spouse feels insecure about their marriage, the more they'll try and make it visible to the world. So instead of doing this, ask yourself honestly why you're posting all those pictures on your Instagram or Facebook. Is it because you're truly happy with your partner, or is it because of something else? Being honest with yourself is one of the most important things you can do to address the problems in your marriage. And finally, sign number 11, you stop envisioning a future with your spouse. Now, this could be as simple as, for example, not even planning your next vacation or even your weekend plans. If you find yourself feeling apathetic to what's happening in the future, then it's a pretty sure sign that you either don't care or you don't see a future together with your spouse anymore. Now, this is probably an indicator that there's something in your marriage that's hampering its foundation, and that something absolutely needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Now, like I said, this isn't an exhaustive list of signs that your marriage is going downhill. Marriages, like all relationships, have their ups and downs, and it's really how you handle this kind of turbulence that defines how strong your marriage is. If you're experiencing even just one of these signs, then it's important to try and address it as well as possible. This isn't always easy, especially if your spouse isn't on board with talking about it. So for situations like this, it's important to have support, and that's why I offer one-on-one private email coaching to a select number of clients. So again, if you want to learn more about my private email coaching, just go to marriageguy.com/coaching. I promise you it's a lot more affordable than you think, and I've helped thousands of couples stop divorce and mend their marriage. Again, you can check it all out at marriageguy.com/coaching. And that just about does it for this video. If you guys have questions, you know what to do. Leave them below and I'll do my best to get back to you, every single one of you, if I can. And thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you then.